और लग के कर दिखाने में, मान लेने में कि जिंदगी ऐसे ही कटेगी, और सुबह 4 बजे उठ के सोचने में कि अभी तो बस शुरुआत है। किसी मैगजीन को हाथ में लेने में और उसी मैगजीन के कवर पेज पे होने में इतना सा ही तो फर्क है। वीआईपी सीट में और उसकी पिछली सीट में इतना सा ही तो फर्क है। वो जिसका मैदान ही खुला आसमान है, वही कल जमीन पर तो था। पूछोगे तो बताएगा वो पंछी कि एक दायरे में सिमटने में और पूरी दुनिया को दायरा बनाने में बस इतना सा फर्क है। इतना कितना है? इतना है या इतना है? जो नापेगा वो जाने कि जहां धरती और आसमान मिलते हैं, नानकुर से दूर, अगर मगर शायद से दूर, वहां भी दोनों में फर्क बस इतना सा है। धरती और 7वें आसमान में फर्क बस इतना सा है। ये एक अंतर प्रेरणा है। ये हमारी, आपकी, हम सब की अंतर प्रेरणा है। एक कदम, एक छलांग, एक बाजी, एक गहरी सांस और एक ललकार खुली हवाओं में कि हाँ मैं बना हूं उन फिजाओं के लिए, कि हाँ मैं बना हूं उन ऊंचाइयों के लिए जो ऊंची तो बहुत है पर नामुमकिन भी नहीं, क्योंकि मुमकिन और नामुमकिन में बस इतना सा फर्क है। धूप छांव में फर्क बस इतना सा है। तो बस चलिए फ्रेंचाइज इंडिया के साथ ये फर्क मिटा देते हैं। फ्रेंचाइज इंडिया।
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this special day of our Business Opportunity Over Chai. Business Opportunity Over Chai presented by the management of Franchise India with an aim to introduce you with a new business opportunity every day at 12 o'clock. With the same aim, we are going to introduce you with a new business opportunity today into the gaming center. This brand is an international brand and going to give you the opportunity in Indian market. But before we'll introduce you with the brand, let me just run you through with the Q&A process. If you have any questions during the webinar, please type your question into the Q&A box. We will take up all your questions and queries post our presentation. So while we'll run you through with the presentation and the brand brief, I would request you to please keep sharing all your questions into the Q&A box. Our today's brand is world's leading indoor adventure park operators, Flipout. And to know more details about this brand, we do have Mr. John on this panel. With Mr. John, we do have our MD, Sonia Chaudhary, on this panel today to let you know more about the brand and introduce you with the brand. I would like to welcome all the panelists on this panel today. Sonia ma'am, I would like to welcome you here on this panel and would like to request you to please take the lead to introduce the brand from OVO.
Great. Thank you so much, Neha. And thank you so much, John, for coming in today on this opportunity to present to all our investors for India. And before I give the audio to you to present the opportunity, I'd like to also, friends, brief about what the opportunity that we bring in today. My request would also be to take any questions that you have. You can put your questions. We'll be happy to make you understand how it works. Even the success of how the business has been working in UK and Australia, what and how they started, all that is something that becomes a part of our presentation. So maybe to extend on to what Neha said, Flipout is a globally, it's a global brand. It's a family-focused leisure entertainment brand which offers an indoor adventure park experience. So this is not an outdoor experience. It gives an indoor park experience. And it is operating out of large indoor venues. So these are not small venues. They operate out of very large venues, which are actually custom built to reflect the entire experience of Flipout with a wide range of all activity equipment that goes inside. And it also combines party and dinner facilities globally in UK, Australia, and overall 9 countries where they operate out of. And they began as a company based out of based out of Australia, and to provide these indoor facilities between 14,000 square feet of space to even 65,000 square feet of space, which is very, very large. And today, they are also the market leaders in adventure park venues in UK, and in fact, the fastest growing company of this type worldwide. And all their focus has been all this while deliver a fun family experience from the minute that you enter the park and creating memories that last a lifetime. So friends, we have Mr. John, who is the head. He leads the entire operations, global operations for Flipout. And he, in fact, was impressed with the incredible growth and also the business model of Flipout in Australia. And he was the one who, in fact, brought the brand to UK, which is now a leader in the segment, the category. And they are by far the biggest operator also in the country. So John has, in fact, taken upon himself the task to maximize the opportunity and also expand to more countries, more than 9 countries where they're currently based out of. So we'll take the next 20 odd minutes to present what the opportunity is. We'll be happy to take any questions post the webinar. And along with me, we also have our teams, which is also Sioni, who's joined from Delhi. She's leading the entire project. She's part of Fran Global, which is working very closely with John and his entire team to select the right profiles. So over to you, John, and friends, keep writing in. We'll be happy to take any questions post the presentation is over.
Brilliant. Thank you, Sonia. Thank you for the introduction. Yeah, my name's John Inwards. I'm the head of the international development for Flipout Global. And Sonia mentioned that, you know, the business now has been established since 2012. So we've been established for many years. We have over 60 sites currently globally trading, and they come many different sort of shapes and sizes. But what I wanted to talk about really is a bit of the backstory, the evolution, and then go through into some of the site selection, some of the ideas and things that we're looking for, kind of sites and the opportunities there. What we can do to support you in the franchise to help open your centres in India. Also marketing and the systems that provided to actually ensure that you're running the operations effectively and you're profitable. And then we'll follow on with some sort of synopsis on the investment model and how that works. So in terms of the backstory, 2012, the first trampoline park was established in Sydney in Australia. And very quickly, we opened north of 15 sites in Australia, where I then joined the brand 2013. And we embarked on opening these in the UK in a very competitive market at the time. But we dominated the market. And currently, we have over 30 sites trading in the UK alone. And over 60 globally. So we have north of 6 million kids every year enjoying our facilities. And we're in every kind of site you can imagine, from from a warehouse through to shopping centres, retail park developments, and this kind of thing. But in this environment, it's quite competitive, and we started with a trampoline park model. Where you need a lot of the height. So in terms of that, it was quite restrictive for the site selection. What's happened in the last 3 to 5 years really is an evolution of the brand and more of a mixed use family entertainment concept, where we have a multitude of different activities under one roof rather than just one activity. What I'm going to do is just share a video just to give you an idea of the look and feel of Flip. I'm actually going to share 2 videos. I'll share one, which is the conceptual trampoline park model, and then another one, which is an FEC. They're quite short videos, but I'll show you now. So if you bear with me a second, I'll just share my screen, guys. Okay.
We don't have the sound coming. Can we replay it or check the audio? Let me see the visuals.
Well, there you go, guys. That gives you a bit of a flavour of what we're about and the look and feel of Flipouts, and showing you some of the activities in there. I'm just going to run you through a presentation which I'm going to share, and I'll take you through that just in a second. So bear with me a second. So we've gone through a bit of the evolution and where we are, and I think the key thing here is understanding that we were looking at maximizing the space and getting the bang for your buck and getting the maximum capacity and the maximum experience from what we do. And Flipout isn't one dimension; it's very much a three-dimensional experience. All of the walls are wall-to-wall covered in graffiti. The sound and the lighting and the atmosphere really sets us apart from many of the competitors. So Flipout is a standout brand and something very unique in the market that hasn't been copied or anywhere near so in the market. We've got 42 activities and counting. So as I say, it's gone from trampolines through to, we have large inflatable zones. We have assault courses with different activities. We have electric go-karts, laser quest, various different things like ice skating, but we have 42 different activities. And the key thing is we can choose the different activities to suit the local area, the demographic, and also the competition. So it's a great value for the customers, because they can come in and for one ticket price, they can use absolutely everything. And that's something very quite unique to Flipout. Let's give you a bit of an idea of that. This is the ice skating, five-a-side football, which is very popular in the UK. This is nine-hole mini golf. And this is our ninja tag area. So in here, you can use the height a lot, which is great for capacity. And also you can have 15, 20 different activities all in one area here. These are the new e-carts, which are extremely successful at the moment, and we're going into all of our latest centres. And just to run through the design and fit out and support. So essentially, once we have brought you on as a franchisee, we then help you plan out and design the specific centre. And the size range for any typical site can go anywhere between 15,000 square feet up to 65,000 square feet is our largest one at the moment. And typically they have a restaurant cafe area, dedicated children's party rooms, and then the play areas basically. And everything is designed with an eye to detail and attention to detail in terms of the different activity mix, the experience, the customer journey, and the flow, to ensure that everyone has the best experience, but also that the site is profitable and it works. And one of the main things is the staffing levels, the way the equipment's laid out to have the minimum staffing levels for the maximum gain in the capacity. So something that we've learned over time is that every square meter that you have in the site, you have to get the capacity up. And the new FEC experience that we're offering, which is outside of the trampoline style, is getting maximum capacity. So from A to Z support, we essentially find and help you source a location, and we'll help you with the planning and development, the project management, understanding everything you need to do from start to finish to open the doors and design a successful flip out. This gives you a bit of a snapshot of the layout and the feel of a typical flip out. This is a site that's around 18,000 square feet. It gives you an idea of the layout here. So we have things like the soft play by the cafe, which is for the smaller children up to the age of around 3 years old. Then we'll have a roller rink, a tag challenge, a cannon area, a ninja, a laser area. This will have a capacity of about 300 people, and typically it's a 2 to 3 hour experience for our customers. So it's one ticket price, and they can come and use absolutely everything within the centre. We're very, very popular for kids' birthday parties as well. So we have dedicated themed party rooms for the kids' birthdays. In terms of marketing, we're excellent at marketing. We've got an extremely good reach on social media, and it's very important to have the right marketing strategy in place, and that's something that we'll help you with. And we've got all of the right assets and marketing collateral and videos and things like that to help push it. And also we understand the different pillars of marketing, so things like the Halloween, or it might be Easter, or it might be around Christmas time. And just understanding trends and how to market the different pillars of the society and getting people into the site. In terms of operational support, we've got a whole back-end suite of operational procedures. Essentially, from a day-to-day management point of view, we use a system called Jolt, where there's daily equipment checks, daily checks around the sites, and everything's managed on that. And essentially, you can log in and run the site remotely and understand exactly what's going on in the site at any one point in time. In terms of things like the staff rostering and understanding how the site runs, we help you with that, but also there's back-end operational systems to help you with that. And the training we provide is extensive as well. There's a 16-week training program. We help you with all of the recruitment and understanding all the correct people to have in place to run a successful flip out. And that's something that we can do for the franchise. So there's the onboarding, there's the training, and then there's the ongoing support. This is a typical Trello board that we use as well for a lot of the project management and also the site build and understanding all the different supplier relationships. So you can go in here, and this breaks down into different categories. So really, it's project managing. First of all, the entire build, and we have a full suite of information. It's the A to Z of when you get the keys for the location, all the way through to opening and operating the site. We use Trello as an operational procedure. We've got templates on there, and we can run you through and train you. So everything's there, and it's all laid out. We have an extensive operations manual, which again is very detailed with every different area of the business, the venue operation, the staffing, the health and safety, and the management of the site. This is something that's been developed over the last 10 years of operation. We've got extensive work has gone into the health and safety and understanding to run a safe environment. So that's fully covered off. And it's literally your Bible. So at any point in time, if there's anything in the business you need to understand, it's in that operations manual. And there's also training videos and a lot of support in the background to make sure that you can replicate our successful model going forwards. So some of the staff training and some of the information here on the operations manual. And then we have different, there's a suite of information for everything you may need. So any accident reporting, CCT coverage, compliance documents, F&B, HR, everything's in there, and it's all provided. We also have decks to show you things like reviews, which is really good for feedback in-house to know how the customer experience has been, and that comes back to you as well. This is an example of the scheduling for the staff. And then you can have daily summaries, so you can log in, you can see how well the site's done on a particular day and time, the key peak areas of when you've had the most people through the door. And that just gives you a really good handle on understanding the business. And also you can break this down into a more granular level to understand if that revenue's come from the cafe, if it's come from parties, if it's come from the cafe, what is it in the cafe that you've sold? Is it slush puppies, or is it burgers, or whatever it may be? You can get a real understanding of the business on a granular level, and the reporting is key to that. So we can have different products here, so additional hour, and we can sort of break it down to see which ones have sold and how many. The other thing that we've launched recently, which is extremely successful and it creates that kind of loyalty to the brand, is memberships. So we charge a membership fee, and they can come. The customers can come monthly, and it's been very successful so far. We just opened a site in Denmark recently, and in the first month we've had 1,200 memberships, which is it's hugely successful. This is the guest experience, so we can get some feedback from the customers, and we can have real time how we're doing in the store. I think before we jump onto the Q&A session, it's important to I think just stop sharing for a second. The site selection, and I think understanding how we can support you with that. We've over the years we've dealt with a number of different landlords, property investors, and real estate agents, and we've got a great covenant to go to a landlord and understand property. And I think in what's most recently happened is with the Amazon effect and the demise of retail, and more retail parks and shopping centres looking for. They're looking to adapt and have more of a rather than just standard retail, have some leisure and F&B in there. We fit perfectly to go into shopping centres as a partner, and we found that there's some pretty good incentives to be had with the landlords, but we also benefit from the footfall as well. So I'm going to do a quick snapshot on the financial overview here and how the franchise typically works. So I won't keep you a second. So on the this just gives you an idea of the capex here for a typical site of around 12 to 15,000 square feet. Sorry, and this is what we call like a mid-tier centre. We've adjusted all of the prices to be relevant to the Indian market. And we're looking at, is this 79 million? I'm not sure how you say that in India. I think it's crore, is it? Maybe I should just announce it in pounds for now. But
no, sure, John. You can continue with that, and then we can translate later. You can go by your flow.
Fine. Okay, so it's easier for me to speak in pounds because. That's what I understand. But in pounds, the typical investment, this includes the franchise fee around £40,000, the fit out costs, which will be things like all of the building materials, the flooring, the sound and lighting, and all the peripheral things to actually put the store together, any walls and things like that. Then you've got the equipment cost, which is the mix of different equipment. Again, that's sourced locally. It's an agreement that we've had with Franchise Global that we can source the equipment locally, and obviously we verify that. And then there's any sort of licensing, inventory, stock, things like that, and obviously opening costs. So the typical site, fully fitted out, ready to open the doors, is around £750,000. And just to give you an idea about the rent levels, the salaries, the percentage of that, the royalties, which is the franchise royalties based on the gross turnover, marketing costs, and operating expenses. So if we break that now down into a yearly revenue with the yearly expenses and look at the EBITDA that falls out the bottom, the typical payback period is around between 2.5 to 3 years, What we do find, though, is that if you're first in best dressed into a particular city or town that hasn't got any similar activities, which is most of India, the way that we see it at the moment, it's very underdeveloped in India. We think the payback will be a lot quicker. But this is just a guideline on a typical UK site and the kind of payback periods we expect. So this is a breakdown on the margins, the rental, the cost of goods, salary expenditure, operating expenses, and marketing and advertisement. So the net profit that drops out the bottom is around 36%. So you can see it's extremely profitable. And most of our franchisees that have opened one have gone on to open many more sites. We have one franchisee in the UK that has 10 locations. I'm personally invested, and I have my own franchise site as well, and I'm opening my second one next year. So I think that gives you a great overall on the business. I think that pretty much covers everything for now, Sonia. If there's anything,
John, while we could see your screen, but yes, I will take some questions. I was seeing some questions which were coming while you were taking all of them through the financial working. So what you said, the typical area requirement, friends, just to repeat, the typical area requirement would be minimum of 15,000 square feet of space. It can go as high as 65,000 square feet of space. And the unit economics that we just talked about was for 15,000 square feet. And that is the minimum area requirement that we need to put up the setup. And this is a minimum area requirement because if you put something which is lesser than this, will not be financially viable, right? We need to have the minimum set of activities that need to go in the trampoline park. So 40,000 pounds typically would translate to about 40 lakhs when it comes to INR Indian money. And overall investment in the project is about 7 crores, So if I translate from the pounds to the INR. So this is typically the investment, which is the biggest component would lie in the fit out cost and the equipment. And John, can you again, I don't know if you talked about how much is the fit out cost that we have taken into consideration?
So I think it's important to note that the reason the size has to be 15,000 square feet and upwards is to have the mix of attractions and to have the experience and also have the wow factor. So when you go into Flipout, you need the excitement and anything smaller is just too cramped and you can't have the mix of equipment. So in terms of the CapEx and the split down, you might spend 250 to 300,000 on the equipment. You'll spend around 2 to 250,000 on things like the building, the building materials, the flooring, the signage, the painting, the sound and lighting, these type of things. And then you've got stock and inventory control, lease costs and things like that. So it's around 750,000 for a 15,000 square foot site. And we see a huge opportunity in India because there's a distinct lack of these kind of activities and facilities. And as you know, we're the leading brand in the market, so we're very excited about the opportunities in India, and we believe we can easily open over 100 sites in India. So it's very kind of it's a great opportunity at these early stages to get in there and open a site in India.
So friends, just to maybe get that perspective more in relative terms. So overall, the investment is 7 crores, which includes the franchise fees and fit out and equipment forms a big component. So the fit out cost for us in India would be anything between 20,000 rupees per square feet on an average to about 25,000 rupees per square feet. And the equipment all put together would be about 3 odd crores approximately. So all these put together, your project would not go beyond 7 crores of the entire investment, which is for an entire park for trampoline. Now, John, if you can also explain the activities, because we see the area, which is as, it's very wide, right? So from 15,000 square feet to 65,000 square feet of space, we have, a lot of activities which come in. So if we have to primarily understand typical activities, which are the activities which give the highest revenue, I'm sure there are some activities which bring a lot of crowd, but might not be contributing so much to the revenue. So if there's a 15,000 square feet to be built, which are the typical activities, idle activities that need to go in place? And on an average, what space requirement would each of these activities have?
Okay, good question. First of all, in terms of the finance, before we go on to the activity, the fit out cost, we actually have a vehicle as well for financing these. So if any of the franchisees or anyone who wants to invest here, they don't have to find 100% of the investment here. We can fund 60 to 70% of that through our funding model. And that's just an option that I think quite a few of our franchisees have elected for in the UK, and it's just a good option to have on the table. I just wanted to put that out there. So
how does that work, John? Because you mentioned funding, how does that work for a partner?
So we've got them. Our global equipment supplier, SPI Global, they've got a fund which is backed by the Swedish government for export finance, and essentially because it's a proven model. They have signed off the Flipout model for funding for this export finance. So for qualified investors and franchisees, finance is available for up to 70% of the entire investment, actually. So, if it's 750,000, it's, 550,000 can be funded here, right? So that is something that can be quite interesting for potential franchisees. And obviously, there's an application process, but we can take you through and help you through that, no problem at all. Sure. So in terms of the equipment mix, you're quite right. There's certain key attractions that might not be the best capacity generator, but there's certainly the reasons that people go. One of them is the electric go-karts, which is hugely popular. They take the minimum requirement for that is about 150 square meters, but you can go as big as 800-900 square meters on a supercenter. But these are electric go-karts, and they're typically designed for kids up to the age of about 12 or 13. So they're kids' karts. It gives kids the experience to drive go-karts where they wouldn't normally have the experience because they're normally a lot faster, petrol-driven, or more dangerous. And these are super safe, and the kids love them. So it's a big draw card into Flipout, and it's something that we're putting into all of our new locations. And what I'll do after I talk through some more of the equipment is I'll show you a video of our recent Denmark opening, which is a bit bigger. That site is 20,000 square feet, but that gives you a typical mix of equipment, and you'll be able to see what we're doing in our latest store. We opened that one 8 weeks ago. Okay, so I can show you that one as well. It's actually in Denmark, in Scandinavia, that one. Okay. Yeah. So key capacity drivers would be the inflatable area. And it's basically a large inflatable assault course. There's different things like slides and different activities within that. But it will take a lot of children, right? So a very small footprint can take, we've got one in Denmark there. I think it's 200 square meters, and it can hold 100 kids at any one time. So, if that was trampolines, for instance, you'd probably only be able to hold 30 to 50 kids. But because of this type of equipment, it will take a lot more children. The other one we have is the Ninja Tag, which is a multiple level area. So the beauty of that is you can use the cubic meterage or feet of the actual location. You can build up. So you can have 3 to 4 different tiers depending on the height of the location. So in quite a small space, we've got a space there in Denmark of 250 square meters, and that's got I think 180 capacity, which is huge. So I think the thing is, in our peak times, it's about getting the capacity driver and getting as many people through the doors in those peak areas. Because what we found in the past is that with trampoline parks is that we'd be fully booked, and we'd have people that want to come, but there wasn't enough capacity in the park. So
what is the ideal level? How many tiers you advise it should go up?
So it's really dependent on the property, and I think the beauty of our model now is we can adapt our equipment mix to the property. But a minimum of 4.5 meters is typically where we want to be looking. The higher the better, and we've got sites as low as 3 meters, but 4.5 is a good kind of medium ground, I would say, to have the majority of the equipment mix that we can offer here. Yeah.
Okay.
Another one that's typical is obviously a kid's soft play for the smaller kids, so it gives them something to do. And then laser quest, so laser tag, or I'm not sure if you have something similar over there, but that's
also big revenue driver. The ticket size for that is bigger than the others.
Well, it is, but again, and it's really it's up to the franchisee ultimately if they want to split that off and make that a separate revenue driver, a separate entrance fee. But what we're doing in Europe anyway is that we're including all of that in the price. So essentially, you can go to the laser, you can go to the inflatable, you can use the carts, everything for one price for a 2 to 3 hour experience. So I think that really sets us apart from the competition.
So what you
I'll
do in
quickly,
UK and globally is there's an entry fee, and everybody who gives that entry fee can use all the rides and the activities inside.
Yeah. So you've got an entry fee. So in the UK, it's typically £20 for 2 hours. I know it's different. There's going to be different there
Yes.
in India.
India is per ride or per activity, you know, because laser is priced differently to a trampoline, and the soft play area is priced differently to the other activities. So
I think we were
absolutely,
talking
in fact,
around.
we'll be happy to discuss that in person with all of you working
Sure.
with. Yes.
I think we were talking 700-800 rupees for an entrance fee in India was something quite fitting from memory. I don't know if that's right, but
Yes.
we can address that. But yeah, so yeah, the typical equipment mix is 8 to 10 different activities really, and to have things like the bumper cars are really popular, indoor roller skating is really popular, mini golf, climbing is another good one.
Yes.
So there's it's about finding the location, looking at the height, looking at the key demographic that you're targeting, and then getting that equipment mix in there. And that's something that in the planning of the site will obviously help out extensively to make sure the layout is absolutely perfect for the location. So I'm just going to share the screen of Denmark, which is our recent opening. Okay, can you see that okay?
Yes, absolutely. And how big is this, Sean? This
site is about 20,000 feet.
20,000.
20,000, yeah. But that site's got a capacity of over 300, and that site will turn over £2 million this year. So it just gives you an idea. The bigger you go, the more capacity you've got, the more option you've got. So it really is. But we're talking around 15,000 and upwards in India market, yeah.
Wonderful. Sean, now my next set of questions would be more around understanding typical revenue and typical expenses that go in. While I understand the large component of your entire operating expenses is the staff and also the rental part of it, right? So while in India, it can also be on revenue share because more bigger regions, locations, 15,000, 20,000, and a lot of more developers also agree to do on a revenue share structure. And then the second part is on our, the team, or I would say the staff, which is required to run. So if you want to give any unit economics of how maybe the ratio of, the activities versus the staff works out, and say if there's a £100 revenue, what percentage ideally should be attributed to rent or the occupancy cost? How much percentage do we attribute to the utility and the salary and other miscellaneous expenses?
Yeah. So in terms of the investment and what comes from the landlord as well, and you're talking about revenue shares there. So there's many different ways to cut the property deals, and the way that we're doing the property deals at the moment is we're actually getting capex investment from the landlord, right? So we'll sign a 10 to 15-year lease, and they've typically got a fund to actually invest and help with some of the upfront costs. So are we going to explore that? Can we do that in India? We've managed to do it everywhere else we've done it in the world. So hopefully that is possible there. So it's generally a mix of capex investment from the landlord and some rent free. So that gives you enough time to sort of open the site and have some trading period before any rent's payable. So typically something like 12 months. And we are pitching for 30-40% of the capex investment to come from the landlord in terms of an incentive.
Correct.
The rev share model isn't so much something we've done. You know, the only way we really share revenue is if we hit like a ceiling of revenue where it's quite high, and then the landlord gets a rev share afterwards. But are you talking a straight rev share? So there's no rent; it's just a revenue share with the landlord. Is that typically the kind of setup? Yeah. So, I mean, our model in the UK and in Europe, our staffing levels are around 20 to 25% of the turnover.
Okay.
But I think in India it's going to be less because your cost of labour is a lot lower.
Yes.
Yeah.
It should be
And so
somewhere
that's,
between 15 to 20%, 15 to 20.
Yeah, and it's the same. It's the same with rent. You know, it sits anywhere between 15 and 20% really of the turnover. Yeah.
Right.
And then you've got invest in marketing. So we suggest around 3% of your turnover goes into marketing. There's a lot, there's utilities and fixed costs and insurances and things like that, but they're not the major costs. The biggest costs you've got is the staffing and the rent.
Yes.
And then obviously once you've built the location, there's some minor maintenance. There's not a lot to keep the store running, and utilities and things like that. But the gross profit margins are very high in the business actually.
So almost, I think 36% is what you talked about. So which is typically about 2.5 years, one can break even. And friends, typically when you get into a relationship with a developer, or if you're the developer yourself, if you have a property yourself, typically a relationship would be about an arrangement which can go up to even 9 years, which is 3 plus 3 plus 3 years. Typically the arrangement can go in. And also when we talk about the F&B area, this can also be outsourced, and largely in our infrastructure like this, the F&B, the restaurant area, is also outsourced. So that also becomes a revenue stream for a franchise partner. So while you can put up the entire setup, but the investment in the equipment is something which can be done by the F&B operator. So you can bring in an operator, and some revenue share structure on that can also be worked out with the food operator. Wonderful.
Yeah, I mean that is something that can be done. I mean, the food and the drink can be quite profitable. It can be up to 25-30% of your entire turnover, and we have had franchisees that have had the F&B separate, but most people elect to actually run it themselves because there's good margins in the F&B as well. So, but yeah, obviously if you want to carve that out for a separate brand.
Sure. So friends, we're looking at largely locations in Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, but the top 20 cities of India is something that would be our first bet to get in. And I'll take some questions, John, that we have not covered. I have a question from Mr. Praveen Devanji. He's asking, what is the minimum height which is required for the site?
So the minimum height, I would say 3 meters. But you're going to restrict certain activities like inflatables and some of the higher level activities like climbing and trampolining. You won't be able to do that, but there's still enough types of equipment that we can put in. We're opening a new site in Canary Wharf, actually, in London, that only has 3 meters in height. So it's achievable.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful.
3 meters.
Okay, and John, we talked about 8 to 10 activities in a 15,000 square feet of space. Now, when it goes bigger than that, maybe twice the area or thrice the area, do we increase the space of the activities, or we increase the activities?
Both. So yeah, I think but both's the answer to that question. More activities and more space for those activities, and all of the activities are scalable. Every one that we've discussed, they can start off at 150 square meters and they can go to 500 to 700 square meters. We just increase the experience basically in the scale.
Wonderful. So friends, some of you have asked for the financial working also. I'll request all of you who are considering the opportunity. We have the Fran Global team in India who's leading the project. So we have Seoni on the call. She's also left her details in the chat box. You can kindly take a note of that. We'll be happy to share the financials, detail of the equipment, and also the funding activity, which John did talk about at the very start. And the typical ROI, Dheeraj, is about 30-35% annualized. It would take about 2.5 to 3 years to get break even on a business model like that. But this is highly profitable, provided you get the right location. And this is a destination, right? So there are a lot of malls which might have sufficient space. Even people who come with some commercial complexes or standalone properties, this is a destination by itself. Right? Okay.
Yeah.
So I think I've covered the equipment. We've already covered. Is the rate of interest for funding provided? What is the rate of? So Darshanji, we can talk this maybe offline on the interest for funding, rate of interest for funding. I think there's a separate discussion.
I could let you know now. It's typically between 5-6% over the base interest rate, EBOR,
Okay.
Sonia, whatever that may be. Yeah, in India.
Okay.
But they're competitive
About 7%,
rates.
so it will be about 12 odd percent.
Yeah, and it's typically over a 4-year period as well, or shorter, depending on the
All right.
the relationship, yeah, and the setup.
So friends, we'll be happy to discuss this offline also, but that is okay. Great. Thank you so much, John. I was going through the questions. I think I see a lot of questions on the financials and the supply chain and then a lot of dynamics with respect to the unit economics. So friends, there's a detailed working that has been done. We look forward to maybe speaking to you offline post the webinar. And
Sure.
Sioni will get in touch with you and connect you with John post qualifying your interest. And most important is an access to a location or a property to start a discussion. And so before we close, John, I'll request if you want to perhaps share a message to everyone listening here and maybe the last, I would say, more than a decade of your experience of running and operating this, not only in one market, but global market. What is your overall experience and how has the journey been so far?
I think the journey from the start has been one very much of excitement. The business is always growing and evolving, and essentially we sell fun and we put smiles on kids' faces, and at the same time we make money. So it's a great fun business to be in, where every day you wake up and there's a new challenge. But it's a very exciting business to be in, and I think we're going to keep evolving. Every market we've gone into, we've been successful. We've got stores that are profitable, and we've got happy franchisees and investors. So much so, I've been in the business, as I say, over 10 years now, and I'm investing heavily myself into opening a number of centres across Europe. And primarily, I think the opportunity here in India is one of the biggest that we have in the world. Just the sheer amount of people you've got there, and the lack of options for these kind of facilities. The last scan we did, something, trampoline parks is 25, 30 sites. I mean, we could open hundreds and hundreds over there. So I think the opportunity is very large. And I think when we open in India, we're going to open a lot very quickly. So, a closing comment is we are very excited to come to India, and we'll welcome any conversations. We're fully supportive to ensure that happens. And we're really happy working with Franchiseindia. We think we have the perfect partnership to move forward and grow Flipout across India.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much, John, for being with us today. And we wish Flipout a great success in India. And friends, we look forward to speaking to everyone who wants to come for a second round of discussion. Thank you once again, John. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Thank you.
Okay, have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you.
And Neha, can I request you to please take over now?
Sure, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thanks to giving me the lead. Guys, I'm sure the brand details which we have shared with you today are going to help you in understanding the brand in detail. But in case you want to have any discussion one-to-one, you can reach out to us. Sioni has already shared her contact details into the chat window. You can reach out to her. You can also reach out to us at our hotline number, which is 9717683838. You can write us at feedback@franchiseindia.in. Tomorrow again, we are coming up at 12 o'clock sharp with a new business opportunity with Star Chicken. It's a small kiosk model operations, and they are into food. They are famous. They're South India's most loved chicken brand, and they're very much famous in South. And they have already have 3 locations presence available, and they're looking expansion into AP and Telangana. To know more detail about this brand, please join us tomorrow at sharp 12. I have already shared the registration link into the chat window for all of you to register yourself and join us tomorrow sharp 12. And today also we are coming up with Bharat Franchisee Show at sharp 7 p.m. With some franchisee-owned, franchisee-operated opportunities for all of you. For the same, I have shared the registration link into the chat window. You can click on the registration link and you can register yourself to join us at sharp 7. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Thanks a lot. Have a lovely day ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, friends.